Tonight, growing mystery surrounding the Tiger Woods car accident as the golf star puts off a police interview until tomorrow. I'm Hari Srinivasan. Also tonight, the latest on the case of the White House gate crashers. How did the couple get past the Secret Service to shake the president's hand? Tempting shoppers, retailers going all out to drum up business despite the tough times. And headlines for hermits, the newsletter that's aimed at the most elusive readership of all.
This is the CBS Evening News with Jeff Glor.
Good evening. Jeff Glor is off tonight. We begin this evening with golf champion Tiger Woods and the investigation into his automobile accident early yesterday morning. The mystery heightened this afternoon when Woods put off an expected police interview until at least tomorrow, allowing the speculation about the crash and his injuries to percolate for at least one more day. Chief Investigative Correspondent Armen Keteyian has the latest.
The tale of Tiger Woods and his driveway dilemma took a different course today, driven by two events: the surprising release of the transcript of a neighbor's 911 call and Woods' unexpected decision not to speak to investigators today about the circumstances surrounding the accident outside his Florida home early Friday morning.
My two officers arrived at the scene and noticed Tiger Woods laying on the ground in front of his vehicle with his wife over him, rendering first aid.
The 911 transcript offers fresh details on what occurred moments after Woods crashed his SUV into a fire hydrant, then hit a neighbor's tree shortly before 2:30 a.m. 2:28:35. The unnamed neighbor's call comes in advising a vehicle has hit a pole and a person is on the ground. 18 seconds later, an update. It's a male in a tree, not a pole. 2:29:20 comes this advisory. The subject is unconscious. 2:30 a.m. The fire department is on the way. 3.5 minutes later, the caller is advised the male, Woods, is breathing.
He was in and out of consciousness with lacerations to his upper and lower lip, with a little bit of blood in his mouth.
20 minutes later, at 2:52 in the morning, Woods is transported to a local hospital where he was treated and subsequently released.
What's his condition?
Good condition.
With reporters in waiting, Woods and his wife delayed their expected interview with investigators until Sunday. Tiger will almost certainly be asked what condition he was in emotionally when he left home at that hour of the morning and why he left. Was it after an argument with his wife, as some published reports have stated, or something else? And why did Elin break the rear window of the SUV with a golf club? Uncomfortable questions for someone who guards his privacy and controls his public image, as well as any athlete on the planet.
I think he's handled the media extremely well over the last decade, and for that, the media have looked after him.
The Florida Highway Patrol made clear it's leading the investigation into the accident, going so far as to say information provided by local police may in fact have been, quote, counterproductive, unquote, to the case, Hari.
This is unfolding so quickly. What's next?
Well, that's a good question, Hari. They originally were going to release the 911 audio tapes tomorrow. That's now been delayed, and the Highway Patrol said that they thought they could wrap this case up in a couple of days. That now seems very optimistic.
Armen Keteyian, thanks so much. We turn next to the case of the White House gate crashers, whose drop-in at this week's state dinner is raising alarm bells for everyone concerned with presidential security. The pictures of the uninvited couple mingling with the powerful are making headlines around the world, which appears to be exactly what the two intended. Kimberly Dozier is in Washington tonight.
Aspiring reality TV couple Mikhail and Tarek Salahi got the kind of publicity this week that money can't buy by gate-crashing President Barack Obama's first state dinner. But it may end up costing them a bundle in legal bills and even land them with jail time if the Secret Service presses charges. And it could cost some Secret Service members their jobs. Congressman Peter King is on the Homeland Security Committee.
To think that two basically wackos were able to work their way in and be standing with the President of the United States. They could have used, they could have grabbed any blunt object that was in there. They could have grabbed a knife or a fork off one of the tables.
The Secret Service says its agents did not follow security protocol. When the couple entered through the first gate, agents did not find their names on the official list and yet waved them on to a second checkpoint where they were allowed in. The Secret Service director will only say he's deeply embarrassed by the incident. CBS News has been told that agents will question everyone involved. A former Secret Service director says he's been told there will be a thorough internal investigation to determine who let them pass.
It's difficult to know exactly whether or not this individual just unilaterally decided to disregard the process, the procedures in place, or perhaps the confusion there in the East Room, the entrance there, caused part of the problem.
The Salahis' lawyer will only say, "My clients were cleared by the White House to be there." More information is forthcoming. Not so far from the Salahis. At their Virginia home, a note says they'll be back Monday. But their neighbors are talking about a couple they say spent too much time and perhaps too much money climbing up the Virginia social ladder of parties and polo matches. A string of tradesmen claim they were never paid after the couple's lavish wedding, which was posted on YouTube.
We've had many occasions when tow trucks and other people have come looking for them because they want to be paid.
A caterer for another event tried to get them to pay up in person and met Tarek Salahi's mother.
She said to me, "Let me ask. He owes you money."
Officials tell CBS News they're considering a host of possible charges against the couple. While they probably won't seek the extreme of jail time, they say they want to make an example out of the Salahis to send a message. They won't let this happen again. Hari?
Thank you, Kimberly. Kimberly Dozier in Washington tonight. The holiday shopping season appears to be off to a solid, if not spectacular, start. Researchers said tonight that shoppers spent more than $10.5 billion on Black Friday yesterday, up just 0.5% over last year. But online sales rose 35%. Retailers are leaving nothing to chance to lure in shoppers, as we hear from Ben Tracy.
In Los Angeles, all it takes is a little fake snow to get a crowd at the mall. But the real challenge is getting people to open their wallets.
I was laid off from work, so we're going to have a small, short Christmas this year.
This season, retailers need strategies to give budget-minded consumers a reason to buy.
They do say that things such as, free shipping and other incentives may prompt them to spend a little bit more.
So on top of deep discounts, stores are offering limited-time sales and those get-one-free bundling deals to entice shoppers early. Some Gap and Banana Republic stores even began their sales Thanksgiving morning.
Our customers really appreciate the ability to shop early.
Experts warn this won't be like last year when retailers, blindsided by a recession-fueled 3.4% drop in sales, nearly gave away the store with 70% discounts. How important is it to you to get a deal, to get a big discount on something you're buying?
Everybody, especially women, are always looking for deals.
This year's sales decline is expected to be a more modest 1%, and retailers are ready, bringing in less inventory to match the weakened demand. Upscale retailer Saks cut its holiday inventory by 20%.
Retailers are betting on basic economics, hoping lower supply will lead to greater demand. They're warning to shoppers, get it early or risk not getting it at all.
Those that aren't willing to spend and are expecting some deeper discount to come may be disappointed.
Shopping malls themselves are upping the ante to help their stores lure customers. The Beverly Center in Los Angeles has a Vegas-style act hanging around in the courtyard. And if you prefer your Santa more hunky than chunky, this mall knows what you want for Christmas.
I'm just trying to push the envelope about as far as we can go and really create that point of difference.
But with less money to spend and less to spend it on, for both buyers and sellers, 'tis the season to be worried. Ben Tracy, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Still ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News, how Twitter tweets are helping shoppers find the best bargains. As we reported earlier, consumer spending is up a bit at retail stores over last year. What's also different is that shoppers are bringing high-tech devices with them as they search for the best prices and the biggest deals. Randall Pinkston has more.
With computers now small enough to fit in your hand, holiday shoppers think nothing of taking devices to the store, surfing the web, checking out products. That's what the Gilberts shopping for TV were doing today.
Really, we just looked on Google to see what the difference between the LED and LCD TVs were.
Any price comparisons?
Yes.
Absolutely. With the smartphone, comparing prices is really easy. First, you just find your application, then scan the barcode, and up pops the best prices in the area. And the advent of social networking, especially Twitter, is giving shoppers and merchants a new tool and a new way to communicate directly and almost instantaneously. Barney's New York, Toys R Us, Target, Nicole Miller, and Best Buy are among the stores that have set up Twitter sites to reach consumers with daily and sometimes instant information. Best Buy calls it the Twelp Force, a combination of Twitter plus a help desk, linking shoppers directly to store managers.
So you have immediate communication with your customers?
Yes. We have people asking for what's the right, what do I buy for my boyfriend, what do I buy for my girlfriend?
Because of the nation's lagging economy, analysts say shoppers are more focused than ever on digging up bargains.
It's so difficult these days just to get consumers to want to shop that any way they can reach them is what they're doing. Facebook, Twitter, emailing them, connection is key.
More real-time information certainly helps shoppers. Merchants are hoping it also helps the bottom line. Randall Pinkston, CBS News, New York.
The first family sat courtside today to watch the George Washington University basketball team play visiting Oregon State, coached by Craig Robinson, who's the First Lady's brother. Just ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News, what the British are learning about the case for war with Iraq. Russia opened a terrorism investigation after a bomb derailed the Moscow to St. Petersburg express train last night. Officials say at least 26 people were killed, 18 others are missing, and almost 100 were hurt. In London, an official inquiry heard testimony this week on whether the British government misled the country about its reason for joining the United States in launching the 2003 Iraq War. And many people are pointing to the words of former Prime Minister Tony Blair. Elizabeth Palmer has more.
When the U.S. attacked Iraq, Britain was its closest ally. But the war was and remains deeply unpopular in the UK, and millions believe then Prime Minister Tony Blair lied to the country. 7 months after 9/11, Blair sounded the alarm about both al-Qaeda and Saddam Hussein's alleged weapons program in the same speech.
To allow weapons of mass destruction to be developed by a state like Iraq without let or hindrance would be grossly to ignore the lessons of September the 11th, and we will not do it.
At the inquiry looking into Britain's role in the Iraq War, the former ambassador to Washington said this link was intentionally misleading.
I think what he was trying to do was draw the lessons of 9/11 and apply them to the situation in Iraq, which led to, I think, not inadvertently but deliberately, to a conflation of the threat presented by Osama bin Laden and Saddam Hussein.
In March 2003, Britain sent 45,000 troops to join Operation Iraqi Freedom. But for months before, Blair had downplayed the possibility of war. Asked in July 2002 if Britain was preparing for military action, he ducked, saying, "No, there are no decisions which have been taken." In fact, documents leaked to the Sunday Telegraph show planning was underway as early as February 2002. Tony Blair was ridiculed as Bush's poodle for his enthusiastic support of America's Iraq policy, support many Britons still don't really understand. In January, they may get answers when he's put in the inquiry hot seat.
That will be box office when Mr. Blair shows up, and that is going to be a riveting day of evidence.
The inquiry isn't meant to point fingers, but to identify lessons learned. It might, however, have another, less constructive effect, to deepen public mistrust of politicians and political spin. Elizabeth Palmer, CBS News, London.
A cargo plane crash in Shanghai, China today claimed the lives of 3 American crew members. The plane, registered in Zimbabwe, crashed on takeoff on a flight to Kyrgyzstan. A 4th American and the other 3 crewmen were injured. Coming up on tonight's CBS Evening News, an ancient route that was a shopper's dream. Half a world away from the malls Americans are crowding into this weekend is a shopping route that is thousands of miles long and thousands of years old. In some places along the legendary trade route, little has changed since the days of Marco Polo. In others, the modern world is ever present, as Terry McCarthy discovered, traveling the Silk Road in China.
Zheng Yongquan sells heat, red chili peppers grown in a desert oasis in northwestern China. Most of our products go to South Korea, he says. Some go to Japan, Singapore. Zheng's knowledge of the outside world is a bit sketchy. When we asked him about the President of the United States, it was a toss-up between Clinton and Gorbachev. But he did know the ancient Silk Road passed right through his hometown of Turpan. At the height of the 5,000-mile-long trading route, China prospered by selling silk, paper, and furs to the West in exchange for gold, glassware, and Buddhism. Now China again stands at the crossroads of a new trade route. The country's $1.4 trillion export industry has made it the third biggest economy in the world. Some things have barely changed along the old Silk Road. The markets still resound with a mix of Chinese and Central Asian languages, and silk is still a major commodity in stores. But life has gotten faster in the past 2 millennia. We're on the main expressway across Gansu province, which approximately follows the route of the old Silk Road, except our car has been traveling at about 75 miles an hour. The old camel caravans used to travel at the more leisurely pace of 3 miles an hour. There are still camels in China's northwest. Some even carry foreigners. But it is these 30-ton trucks that now carry most of China's merchandise. Zhang Jianjun is hauling electrical equipment from Jiangsu to Urumqi, a 3-day trip. Since he started driving trucks, the roads have completely changed. Back then, he says, we rarely drove on expressways. Now we drive on them almost all the time. In fact, in the last 20 years, China has built 18,000 miles of expressways. Pollution was not a problem in the Silk Road era. Today, China is the world's biggest emitter of greenhouse gases. But towards the end of our journey, we came across these wind farms. Small compared to China's overall energy needs, but a start.
And we're pretty proud of being part of this, contribution to reducing pollution while maintaining the country's economic growth.
Just like today, China was changed in the era of the Silk Road by opening up to foreign merchandise. It was changed even more by letting in foreign ideas, and that too could happen again. Terry McCarthy, CBS News, Turpan, China.
Coming up next on the CBS Evening News, all the news that's fit for hermits. Feeling bombarded by information from cell phones and the internet? You may want to join a group of people whose only connection with the outside world is a quirky newsletter published in Hot Springs, North Carolina. Here's Dean Reynolds.
Deep in the woods of western North Carolina, 3,600 feet up a ridge of the Smoky Mountains, you will find Karen and Paul Fredette, busy filling their unique niche among hermits.
We feel we have a ministry to hermits, and that's what we've committed ourselves to.
There we are.
They do it by publishing a quarterly newsletter to those for whom soul-searching solitude is sublime.
Obviously, not everybody can be a hermit. That's just...
Yeah. According to Karen and Paul, hermits are living in plain sight among us, some even in city apartments. They're a part of society, one step removed, that desires a life of contemplation and believes quiet thoughtfulness has a social purpose.
Simply a person who lives alone by choice for spiritual reasons.
Some have jobs, others retired with means. But to Karen and Paul, the stereotype of these solitaries as eccentrics frozen in time is all wrong.
Even if you choose to live as a solitary, you still have the need to communicate.
Their newsletter now has more than 1,000 subscribers worldwide, and they say more are signing up all the time, from places as distant as universities in China, monasteries in Israel, and maximum security prisons in the United States. Marty, a hermit from Tennessee, is a longtime subscriber.
I read them, and all of us, I thought, there are other people doing this. That's the first I realized.
If the notion of hermits trying to connect seems contradictory, the Fredettes say that's another misconception. They frequently host them in their basement hermitage, Raven's Nest, and it's a long way from a cave.
We put in a microwave, we put in a refrigerator.
Toaster oven. Yeah. From their perch in the woods, the Fredettes will continue their efforts as long as they can, finding a way to bring together those who have chosen to live apart. Dean Reynolds, CBS News, Hot Springs, North Carolina.
That's the CBS Evening News. Later on CBS, 48 Hours. I'm Hari Srinivasan. Russ Mitchell will be here tomorrow. Good night.